Greetings, greetings, and salutations, beautiful people in the beautiful world. It is me, he is I am him, Zach Latimer, Z-Lat, Coach Lat, and welcome back to another segment of Right and Exact. Shots out to a new nation and a shout out to you. You could be doing anything in the world right now, but you are here with me, and I do appreciate that. Today, what I want to talk about and what we are going to build on is a word that it seems so many use, have strong emotions and feelings behind, but when you ask around, very few know what that word really means. That word is love. You know, so many get married behind that word, so many have children behind that word. And then when you ask them, you say, hold up, man, if I really knew what that word meant, I probably never would have had children and I probably never would have gotten married, right? And even when you look in the sense of marriage, you look at the divorce rate, and if you say, hold on, man, if so many people are getting married in the name of love, I don't want no parts of it, right? Don't want to do anything with the word love. So I think for us to take a look at this word, we first have to take a look at Pavlov's theory. And in Pavlov's theory, he wanted to get a dog to salivate over the sound of a click. So in order for him to get to do that, he started to feed the dog, and then he would make sure that the dog would hear the click, and he would associate the two. So that therefore he then started to take the dog food away, but then still would have the click, and the dog would start to salivate just from the sound of the click because he would associate the two. I think that's very big and very prevalent in our discussion here. Because a lot of times when you deal with this word love, the concept and the idea of it come behind what somebody else is giving you a vision of. Either that vision has came from TV, movies, or even music are very big when people start to use definitions of love and what it looks like. Then they start to quote those different things, right? So even when you get into these different relationships, though, you say, hold on, because if I fell in love with a guy or fell in love with a girl, some of the nasty and heinous of acts was done behind this word love. So really, what is it? Because I don't think that that's really love. So you start to look at it, and you look at your own life, or you look at the involvement that you maybe have had in somebody else's life, and you say, you know what? Just because I was involved in somebody's growth and development, or provided some instruction, or provided and got some guidance, or anything of that nature, it doesn't mean that you necessarily love somebody. But when you add that word into the mix, when you add that word or tag a relationship with that word, you now lock it into a destination, and you say this is what it has to be, and it comes from your associations with the word that usually come from the movies or the TV. But then now you miss the whole journey of what a relationship can evolve into because you now have locked it into a destination. Even when people start to use religious definitions, I find that to be interesting because even in the sense every religion was spread behind the behest of a sword in the name of love. But then when you start to have that conversation and you bring it up, seems like the vision starts to get cloudy, the mind starts to get a little foggy, and you miss all of that piece, and you only take the piece that you feel that you need. That's when love starts to become a dangerous thing. To help me elucidate this point, I'm going to use this movie called Focus. And in this movie called Focus, starring Will Smith, he plays a character called Nicky. And he meets this other character called Jess. Jess wanted to become a great thief, right? So the beginning lesson was, he said, if you can get somebody's focus, if you can get somebody's attention and you get them looking over here, you can take whatever you want to from them over here, okay? And as the movie starts to progress, all right, they end up running into a guy in a press box, an Asian guy, who they take advantage of. They take him for his money, and they take him for all he got in this press box. And the whole time, though, he was getting preyed on, and he didn't even know it. Because his attention, he was being subliminally programmed into looking at a certain number that they wanted him to look at. So the whole day while he was moving, before he even got to the game, he was looking at the number 5 and didn't even know it because it was on billboards. They put it on jerseys. They put it on everything that he would walk into that day. They made sure that he seen that number. Even in the music that he listened to on his iPod or whatever he had, they made sure that he heard that number. So even when he wasn't paying attention to it, he still subconsciously, it was down in there so that when came time for him to make a decision, he felt like it was his intuition, but really he had already been programmed behind looking at that number. So then they was able to take advantage of it. So I'm going to fast forward because then Jess and Nicky, these characters split. But they end up coming back, and Nikki, played by Will Smith, sees Jess coming down the steps. Now she has a full red dress on, she has red lipstick, and she has red shoes on. Now, depending on what culture you come from, people automatically associate red with love. So then he looks up and he's there to do a job, but then all of a sudden he's thrown off his whole job because he was love struck. And now his mind got cloudy and his vision, and he started to suffer from it throughout the rest of the movie. And you can start to see this progression from even when she comes to his hotel room, and at his hotel room she's crying and he's sitting in front of the door, and the first thing he goes into, did he touch you, did he hit you? And he basically becomes a simp because he's clouded, not knowing, not even asking, well, what happened, getting the full scope of what went on. But he was clouded, his judgment was clouded. So then you towards the end of the movie, he's all sitting around with her, him, and his dad, and the guy that he had already conned, and they're all tied up. And he eventually starts to feel like, I just want to tell the truth. I want to lie like normal people. And his dad ends up shooting him right below his heart, but symbolic of shooting him in his heart. Because now he has failed, not knowing that Jess really was taking advantage of him. This guy was trying to take advantage of him too. But he fell for this concept and this idea called love, and he had to put a stop to it because he was going to throw everything off. So then at the end, when he was talking to his dad, and he was like, look, man, and he called him Mellow. His nickname was Mellow because he was soft. And he was like, this game, when you start to use this word called love, it's a dangerous game. When you use this word called love, it doesn't bring you happiness. It's going to screw you up. And in essence, he ended up taking all of the money and taking everything from him, and he ended up walking to a hospital to get repaired in his heart. All right? So it's something interesting that if you really don't know what this word is and you start to apply it, I think the spinner said it best, and it said it takes a fool to learn that love really doesn't love nobody, right? And if you start to apply these to your relationships and apply this to your everyday movement, and you're not really sure what that word really means, then that word is going to take you further than you want to go. It's going to cost you more than you want to pay, and it's going to keep you longer than you want to stay. So I suggest that you really find what that word really means. All right. I will that you got something out of this. I will that you have a wonderful day, and I will see you next time at Right and Exact. Comment, like, subscribe, and share. I'm out. Peace.